ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the
2,000 years long, we will never settle. Hard days, no way, with a heavy metal. No time, no fail, won't stop here. Like a torch to a flame when it burns hot.
Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, the Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and it's that time of the week for Beam 'em Up Scottie Webb, the MLB weekend recap, and of course, what the market looks like today, what the eyes between from the mad scientist has seen in getting closer to the first month of baseball here. Marathon Monday, I have the backdrop of the Green Monster as the city of Boston will be electric today. Of course, we run the Boston Marathon. The Red Sox first pitch at 11:05. BUEHLER versus, where's my eyes here? Mr. Cannon. Sox opened up -280, now 285. I'm seeing a little money trickling on the White Sox. They won yesterday. Sox need this one, of course, to take 3 out of 4 here. But first, before we bring Scottie in, a shout out to our proud sponsors and partnerships. It's WagerWire. Head on over to Google Play. Download the app. It is free. Zach, Travis, Guy, myself, Amber, Holly, Carol, Bucks, Matt. The list is endless. Guys, come join us. Download the app. We're going to have some great fun here this season here. Viva Tequila Seltzer, 6 flavors in all. The East Coast is cuckoo for coconut. And last but never least, AtlantaSteaksAndSeafood.com. Introduce yourself to Terry Smith on Facebook. Jump on over to AtlantaSteaksAndSeafood.com. Steaks, seafood, chops, appetizers, wine. Terry's got it all. He's even got 4 subscription packages. Set it and forget it. Every 30 days, Terry will send you the protein you need for the month. The only other thing you'll need is a spare propane tank. Without further ado, the mad scientist himself, Mr. Scottie Webb. What's up, champ?
Hey, brother. Happy Easter, belated. Hope you got your Easter eggs all dealt with and you didn't leave any around to get all stinky. You found them all.
Well, to be honest, I was in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And a quick little story before we go. We arrived on Wednesday and Thursday when it was 85 and 80 degrees. Friday, it was 70 degrees. Sunday, when we left, it was 75 degrees. But the day of our event was 36 degrees, sleet, rain, and snow all day. And it had not precipitated in Albuquerque, New Mexico since November 12th, 2024. So we are the curse of all curses, Mr. Webb.
Well, I can tell you it wasn't 40 degrees here. And my wife spent Friday kayaking out in the water, doing whatever she does. And I was like, oh, cool. Then that leaves me home to do my stuff. So I was, it was a pretty good weekend for me. I went to see Mom yesterday. So everything, it was a good weekend. Now, I will say this. I have been in a situation the last couple of weeks where things just haven't been good for me. I've probably been like, I don't know, 1-2 or something like that, 0-3 even a couple of nights. So the last couple of weeks, the first couple of weeks were great. Last couple of weeks not so good. So I had the time and I had the ability then to go and do some homework. So I found some very interesting things. And, one of the things you and I talk about all the time is these teams that come off that Sunday night travel and, they got to go play somewhere like San Diego, right? So, I do my numbers, right, every day, every morning. And San Diego is one of the best teams in baseball. They're going to play Detroit. And, Detroit's a good team. But Detroit's a barely over 500 team. They're not a close to 550 win team. They're not a 600 win team. They're not that kind of good team. San Diego, I'm not saying that they're going to be one of the best teams in the league at the end of the season, but they're going to be right there. I mean, they're good. So, how is it, Jeff, that you get San Diego going to Detroit today? Detroit's throwing Montero on the mound, and Detroit's like minus 130.
Well, we have talked about the San Diego pitcher. You talk about scores. What did they have? This guy's command has not been good. He puts a lot of guys on base. So maybe the travel day, maybe the ESPN curse, maybe the fact that this is the day that Mr. Vasquez finally blows up like a woodpecker.
My thought is that the books are catching on to that thought. Not that they didn't already know, but I think you can see the numbers baked in. I think we have to be real careful at looking at that angle from a sense of, what makes sense to do and what doesn't. Look, Montero is very hittable. I mean, and I'm not going to say Vasquez is the greatest player in the world either. But, when I pull up, let me get my stuff over here for a second. When I pull up my stuff over here, let's see, Vasquez, he has 4 starts. In those 4 starts, he's a game score 53. Well, that's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
That's not bad. I mean, 51 is an average score for a pitcher, and he's 53. So, and he's off of a game score 49. So theoretically, he's going to throw maybe a decent game today. Well, Montero's pitched once. That's it. He's kind of a fill-in guy, long relief guy, right? So it's a bullpen game for them. So then you got to go and say, well, what did he do? Well, he threw a game score 26 the first time. Well, does that mean he's going to go out and throw a much better game? I would expect him to be at least average today. So then you go and say, all right, well, what's the deal here? Well, I look at it and I say, okay, well, let's look at the offenses for a second. Right now, the Padres rank 11th in offense. And the Detroit Tigers, they rank 23rd. Jeff, the Tigers have started to take that kind of dip a little bit where not everybody's hitting. So I sit there and go, this game makes no sense in how it's lined, other than it's starting to build in that theory of, hey, let's go bet against the Padres because they played Sunday night.
And I have something I want to address with you because I think this is going to be right up your alley as well. I'll give you some inside numbers which will really make you laugh here. The first 5, Detroit money line is right now minus 140. You can get the San Diego plus 120. The spread, this is a real enticer. They're only minus 140, Scott, on the money line. Minus a half run Detroit is -5 cents. It's -15 cents at Caesars. Now you take it a step further. The over-under is 4.5 juiced under -15 cents. And the team totals. Detroit 2.5 juice under -130, and San Diego 1.5 over -130. So my point is, this has got 2-1, 3-1, 3-0 Detroit first five. Now I want to take this a step further. We've had some great success in first fives, but I want you to think about this: how the mentality is for the general public. If you get a team total of, let's say, 5.5 juiced under for the full game, you got a team total of 2.5 for the first five. Now, people are going to say, well, I'm going to take my shot because I want 27 guaranteed outs. Now, that's obviously if you got the road team. I'm not going to take a shot in the front end pitching. I want to guarantee the 6, 7, 8, 9. Well, we had great success early, full game team totals. We've really concentrated on the first five. Here's why. The Bridgies from 6, 7, and 8, the bullpens, or if you have the home team, you're only guaranteed the 24 outs. I've seen a lot of 3s and 4s, the first five, and goose eggs the back end. So I'm going to ask you, is it almost to the point where, hey, I don't have to worry about I know if it goes to extras or you got a bad bullpen day, the crooked numbers come. But are you seeing the back end starting to get into rhythm here, Scottie?
Yeah, I think that what you really want to pay attention to is who's pitching, though. Who's available anyway. Let's put it that way, because some of these teams are really good. I mean, look what the Dodgers and the Rangers did yesterday, right? The Rangers, they get a great performance from Miley yesterday. Pitches 7 innings, gives up nothing. They bring in Chris Martin, okay, whatever. They give up 1 run. Dodgers, Glass now gets cramps, comes out in the 4th inning, and they give up nothing the whole game, the whole bullpen. So, if you got a bullpen that can come through there and pitch like that, you're going to be in good shape. But you got to identify spots, right? So like the Phillies are struggling in their back end. Alvarado's doing really good, but, Kirkring or whatever his name is, Orion, whatever the hell his name is, he's not knocking it down. And teams are scoring lots of runs. I think the Marlins came back on them the other day and scored like 5 and still lost by 1. But if you had the Phillies -1.5, you'd be all bent out of shape because they were ahead like 12-1 or something, and won 12-11 and stupid shit like that. But I think it's important to know who is going to pitch, and if you really want, I can do this real fast.
Well, let me interject, because I'll give you a perfect example, because you don't see this very often. Yesterday, we identified the Red Sox first five over 3.5 plus 115. They were -135 to the under. You don't see 3.5s in first fives unless the wind's blowing out in Wrigley. If you're playing in Coors Field, the Red Sox scored 4 runs in the first 3 innings and their over-under for the full game was 5.5. They didn't score the rest of the game. So again, the eyes were sharp there. We had the Red Sox over 3.5 first 5. They scored 4 runs the first 3 innings, didn't score the rest of the game.
All right, Jeff, check out this website. Go to rotowire.com.
Yep.
Baseball, right? And then look at bullpen usage. It's great. So when you pull it up, it's going to come up and it's going to be little charts, and they're every team. And it's going to show you who pitched, how many pitches they threw, and who's available and who's not available based on that. And I think if you're not handicapping these games using a bullpen chart like that, I think you could be in big trouble here, because part of baseball handicapping today is if you're going to play full games, you need to know who's going to pitch in the back end. And if you're better guys aren't going to play, then you're in trouble. It's like, who was it the other day? That I can't remember now off the top of my head. It was Friday night, I thought it was. It was the Diamondbacks and the Cubs in that game where they scored 75 million runs in the eighth inning or whatever. I'm watching the game and I'm listening to the Diamondback guys, and they're going, well, Puck can't pitch and neither can Martinez, and they're just going to throw who they can. Okay, well, if you just throw who you can, look what happens. The other team comes back. Your guys went out and scored all those runs, and then all of a sudden you're in a position there where you got all those runs that were scored. You went ahead. I think they scored 10, and then you took a 4-run lead and couldn't hold it. There you go. So like what you're looking at for the Angels right there says on Sunday, Ian Anderson threw 38 pitches, Brock Burke 24 pitches, and Darryl Hicks threw 17. And then it shows you like the last 3 times they pitched, how many pitches they're at. What you're really wanting to watch in those categories is pitchers that have thrown back-to-back days, because they probably won't throw a third day. And you need to see where they're at in terms of how close to 30 pitches they are, because if they're at 30 pitches, they'll probably skip a day. So that's what you're looking for on that report. And what I like about this is you can go look at it and scroll it real fast, real easy, and it's every team. And it's not hard. It just scrolls down and you can see them, every player, every team, the whole thing through. And it's kind of convenient in a sense that it's I don't know if it's eye appeasing, if that's the right word to say, but if you look at it, it's really a pretty comfortable report to look at. I don't know if you've ever seen it, Jeff, but I use it. I think it's great.
Well, and I'm just looking at the Red Sox here because they're going to start in a few minutes. Wichanowski, Hendricks, Bernardino, Weissert. But if you look at the real studs there, Whitlock, Slayton, Chapman, Wilson. I'm telling you, if you want Zach Kelly, I'll drive him to you. I mean, that guy has killed me in wins in my fantasy team. He's just a wood tick. I don't know why he's still on the roster. But my point is the Sox back end here with Chapman, Whitlock, and Slayton look ready to go if they can get to them today.
No question. They're in good shape. And if you swing down a little farther to the White Sox, the White Sox, it's hard to tell who the hell those guys are, but they got a lot of guys at 25 to 30 pitches there. There's a lot of them. So that doesn't necessarily mean that they're in bad shape, but they're going to want to rest those guys as much as they can. Cannon, when grading out his stuff, he hasn't pitched the best for that team. But at the same time, his stuff plus numbers, his pitcher plus numbers are better than anybody else they got as a starter. So theoretically, he's one of the better starters that they have. We'll just see how it kind of plays out. There's something weird about how the Red Sox play the White Sox. I mean, it's just weird because the White Sox are terrible, and this should not be a competitive series, and And I know that in this particular third, rematch from the time before, the Red Sox are 2-1 right now against them. And, but the last time it was 1-2. So it's kind of like, well, this is a rubber match for the whole damn series. It's like, come on. And Buehler, I know you like Buehler, but Buehler's not been good yet. So I don't know. I don't know what you're going to get from him for the whole season. He's got to figure it out. If he can figure it out, and you can get a good Bello when he comes back. Get rid of Cassis. I said that before, but get rid of him. Call up that kid, and I think you'll be good.
Well, I think it's Anthony's raking. They were talking about Marcelo. And the funny thing is Grissom's raking, and they've been playing him at first base. So they tried to move Cassis the whole offseason with Seattle, trying to get a front-end pitcher. I mean, listen, the guy's a chirper. He knows all, and he knows nothing. The quicker we can get him out, because, listen, last week the Sox were leading the majors in errors. They were leading the majors in strikeouts. It's a team that we should be feasting. White Sox first road win of the year was yesterday. That can't happen.
Right.
They took 2 out of 3 from us the weekend before. These are the ones that you need to stay close to the Yankees and the rest of the East. You can't be giving these games away, Scotty.
Yeah, well, these are the ones you put in the bank and go, okay, let's all right, now we got to go play somebody good because that we just swept this team, we did that, we did whatever. I mean, that's what you got to deal with. But whatever. I mean, I do think there's things to cold weather and different stuff, but it's Boston. Those guys all know they've been there. So anyway, I don't know. So that's one of the things, that Sunday night travel thing. I think, I don't know. I got to keep an eye on it. I'm not so sure that number's not baked in. I think my numbers show Padres should be favored in this game, not Tigers. And it's not that I don't like the Tigers. I like the Tigers, but they're not the Padres. So here's another couple of nuggets for you. So, last year, home teams won 53% of the games. Seems like that's kind of small, but that's really not. It's kind of what really happens. So far this year, Jeff, the home teams have won 60% of the games. So I sat there and I go, okay, well, if they've won 60% of the games, home dogs should be really, really cranking. Well, home dogs are only 45%. They're negative $100, negative $112 on the season if you just bet home dogs. I'm like, well, Jesus, that means home favorites got to be killing it. Home favorites are 66% win on the money line and almost 10% return on investment. So that was one of my big schoolings because I was playing a lot of small road favorites. Good pitching matchup, the road team, it doesn't really matter to me. I think, okay, well, good pitchers, it doesn't matter. But it does. And these home favorites at 66% win just that blows some of this shit out of the water that I was thinking about. So over the weekend, I started looking at things and I broke them down differently. I'm like, all right, so I like these games and I have my value on certain games because of my Webby odds and stuff. And then I started going, okay, well, I can only bet maybe one away favorite or one away anything. I want to bet home favorites as much as possible. So I started looking at that and I'm like, well, if you're going to bet a home favorite, sometimes you got to do certain other things. And you got to bet them on the run line every once in a while. So you're going to have to bet some run lines because you don't want to pay, super big numbers. So as you're doing this, it really works out to, if you're not looking at home favorites right now, you're looking at the wrong area because home favorites are where the money's at and home favorites are who's winning and you got to figure out how to play it. I'm at a perspective like today where I think Atlanta's probably a pretty good home favorite today against the Cardinals. Schwellenbach's pitching today. He got bombed the last time. He ain't going to get bombed today. And he's playing against the Cardinals. Obviously, the Cardinals at the beginning of the season were hitting. Cardinals right now, for example, if I get my computer went to sleep. When I get these numbers back up here, the Cardinals are a team that offensively, St. Louis. St. Louis is 27th out of 30 teams right now, and Atlanta is 7th. So, Atlanta's starting to hit. Atlanta's 6-4 in their last 10. So I kind of like the idea here that, you can play Atlanta on the run line today, -1.5, and it's plus money. You know what I mean? You can get Schwellenbach plus money against Fetty. And I get it. It's Fetty or whatever. Fetty's a tough veteran old guy, but he didn't have the stuff to sit there and, blow people out of the water. So just food for thought anyway was home favorites. And one more that I think will help you that I just picked up on. AI got me onto this one, and I know there's probably 100 people watching this show today, or will be at some point. So it's not like I'm letting a cat out of the bag to everybody and their brother, but I'm big into this carryover stuff. If one team wins a game and wins a home series and they go play their first game on the road, I think they take that positive energy with them and they do pretty well. That's just I can't prove it yet. so I've had some thought to that, and I've had some things, and it's just hard to quantify it. And you sit there and you do all the tally marks and try to figure it out on your own as you go. So now I have different ways and means to get more of that through AI. But one of the things that AI enlightened me too was there is a carryover effect that the sports books don't handle, and that is if you're playing a home favorite who the night before hit 4 or more home runs, for the last 5 years, you're 313 wins, 159 losses, plus 40 units, almost 10% return on investment. And the reason behind it is that there's a surge in offensive performance that's not being captured in the market. And I think I'm going to buy into that and start looking at that. Now, so I wrote a program now, so the computer's going to tell me every team that hits 4 home runs the night before. And there's none from yesterday. But the point I'm trying to make, though, is that can help team totals because you're getting a surge. That can help just playing the home favorite. So my thoughts here is that was something that I didn't understand because I had to get some serious clarification, because if a team scores 5 runs or more, they're more apt to not do well the next day. So I'm like, how does that correlate? I don't understand. So in the breakdown of how all that works out, the truth of the matter is scoring runs can be through a pass ball, of an error. You can hit singles. You can do whatever, right? You can get scores in all kinds of different ways. You can steal bases, and then all of a sudden, you hit a fielder's choice and you got to run. So hitting home runs doesn't necessarily indicate that, you scored a whole bunch of runs other ways. So when you take out the noisy part of it and you just focus on, okay, they hit 4 or more home runs, and just look at that, that's what 100 or 470 games almost, and you're winning 313 of them. That's pretty damn good, and it does correlate to the idea that power surge isn't in the line, and it's really a good spot. So I thought that was a pretty interesting spot.
Shout out to Richard Populus from UConn. Richard, I'm going to go on record. Alex Caravan is in Chicago. His team's there. I'm going to take a leap of faith that he decides I should have went last year, that he goes this year. That's just my gut. I don't think he's coming back, but if he does, God bless him. That's my 2 cents there, Richard. Hope you had a great Easter. Glad you're on board here. Scotty, we got, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 9 games. Sox about to go up. Getting back to Atlanta for a quick second. Schwellenbach, minus a half run, first 5, minus 30 cents. That's where my eyes are. He was overdue to get beat up. It was a bad spot from his last start. I know back in the day, you used to play the Cardinals when they faced the lefty. Remember when they were stacked on the right-hand side? Is that still true, or they're just getting old and long in the tooth, and you don't have to – I know Goldie's not there, but are they a dominant play against lefties, or is the lineup changed in the past few years?
Well, the lineup has definitely changed for that team. What I looked at in terms of their numbers, there's 2 ways I look at that, and one of them I'm going to try to pull it up right now so I can share one of them, is basically just wins and losses, right? I mean, like how do they do? Like so against left-handed pitchers, they've faced 6 of them so far this year, so it's not necessarily the biggest overall spot, but they're 2-4.
Okay.
That's not very good. You know what I mean? That's and it used to be that, look, man, that whole team can rock against left-handed pitchers. But I will say that one of the things I've been really studying and trying to look at is batting average is just pathetic, right? So it's really the worst it's ever been, to be honest. I don't want to say ever, because it goes back to the 1800s. Baseball does, but in the modern day era, this is the worst. Now, having said that, there's a big combination of things that create that. Batting average is way less important than it ever has been, because on base percentage is more important than batting average, and you know what is interesting when you put a lineup together, and I start to look at some of these things, and I sit there and go, God, that makes no sense. That guy's batting here and there, and this and that and the other thing. I do like the idea that they finally moved that damn Cassis out of the spot he was batting in, and a little lower, and they put Story up there and look at him score runs because he can drive them in, right? I mean, that's whatever. So anyway, what I'm learning in a lot of detail is what baseball has become offensively is we don't care how you get on base. Walks are almost as valuable as a hit. They're just that close to being as valuable as a hit. But if you think about the way we watch a baseball game and we go, God, you got a guy on second base and nobody out, we're going to score this guy, because all you got to do is hit a ground ball to second base, move him over to third base, hit a fly ball, and holy shit, we got to run. They don't play baseball that way anymore. And that's not the way they want to play the game anymore. What they want to do is have a stack of guys in their batting order that have an on-base percentage that gives them the opportunity to put 9 guys on base. They don't care about that guy on second base anymore. They want 2 and 3 and 4 guys on base all the time. Boom, 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 boom. And that's what they're doing. They're trying to set it up that way. So walks are extremely important. That's why Juan Soto is like, oh my God, he's the greatest guy in the world because he can walk and get on base. That's whatever. It is what it is. So when you you still got to drive them in. So as you're doing these and you watch these games, the frustration level that I used to get and where things are in a lot of people's mind is this is not how you play the game. You don't put a guy on second base and watch them play the damn extra inning games when there is a guy on second base, right? All you gotta do is get him over and hit a sacrifice fly, and you're in the lead, and then you get your pitcher out there and strike out 3 guys, and you win the game, right? Well, they don't play that way, and the reason that they don't is because the philosophy now is I want as many guys to get on base as humanly possible. I don't care about trying to score that 1 run. I want the deep lineup throughout baseball. Okay, well, I don't know that every team has that, but I will say, look at the Seattle Mariners. They don't have anybody that hits. Look at their batting averages. They don't have anybody that hits. But a Randy Arozarena is batting 200. But he's got 20 RBIs. Now that's some serious run developing stuff going on out there. I mean, what I'm trying to say is they're encapsulating exactly what Major League Baseball offense is trying to do. They strike out all the damn time, but they don't care because they're trying to get on base, and they get guys that get on base finally, and then they drive them in. It's just unbelievable how baseball works. And then, you got all these pitchers out there that throw, the average fastball today, Jeff, is 95 miles an hour, 94 and a half. It's that's the average. It's just unbelievable.
Like I said, there's 4, 7, 8, 9 games. One first pitch has begun. What we usually do here is I'm going to put you to the front stage here, break down a couple games, give you some thoughts and stuff for you to do your thing. All right?
Yeah, no worries.
All right, give me a second.
Bum, bum, bum. All right, so I don't think it's the best thing to talk about the White Sox and the Red Sox just because they already started. But looking at that, you would think Buehler, and the name Buehler, he's got a game score of 46 on the season. Cannon has a game score of 46 on the season. So theoretically, you're getting a lot of the same pitcher. The biggest difference is that Buehler's 1.74 home runs per 9 innings, and if you're not handicapping these games looking at pitchers and what they allow on home runs, it's trouble, because that's how teams score anymore. Like we just talked about, they don't move runners, they hit home runs. So you need pitchers that defend home runs. 1.74 is it's the second worst today. But they're playing the White Sox. The White Sox aren't a big power team, so I don't expect that to be a big problem for them. So it's just kind of see how some of that stuff wakes out. But stuff-wise, Cannon's got better stuff than Buehler does anymore. Buehler is doing better in terms of whip rate, stuff like that. So it's a kind of even matchup that way, where it's like what Jeff talked about earlier. The bullpen for Boston is more rested, and you have a much better offense in Boston than you do with Chicago. So the question becomes is do you want to play it that way? I've looked at the Schmidt Yankee game against Cleveland. My number in that game was, if I can get it back to where I need it to be, will be good. I don't need that up anymore. I got too many windows open. It is over here. Nope. It is over here. Yep, there we go. So my number in the Yankee game, I have the Yankees as minus 125, and the number looks like it's minus 113. I think the Yankees are another they're another good indication of what baseball is today. The Yankees aren't the best defense, but they're decent defense. They don't have the best pitching, that's for sure. But they can score. So when you have a team that can score, and they played the Rays, for example, down here in Florida for 4 games. They won 3 of the 4 games and should have won the 4th game, but they blew up the bullpen that day. Devin Williams gave up, I think it was 4 runs or 5 runs in the 9th inning and lost. So they could have swept a 4-game series from the Rays. But what was very apparent is the Yankees are going to score 4, 5, 6 runs every single game they go out there. So, and it doesn't matter what pitcher's out there. I mean, they went out there against Pepio. They went out there against Rasmussen. Well, Rasmussen was a closer game. I think it might have been 2-0 or 3-0 in that game. They faced good pitching, but they're going to score. And today, they're going to face Williams. Well, Williams is an average pitcher. So if you have an average pitcher, and the Yankees are going to go out there and they're going to score, 5 runs again. So so the question always has to be is, when you play against the Yankees, can you outscore them? Well, you're going to have to do it against the starting pitcher, because their relief pitchers are pretty decent. They're not great, but they're pretty decent, and they can hold things down. So, in my opinion, in this particular spot, I don't know that they're going to be able to get to Schmidt, and it's only his second start, because he had a calf injury or a leg injury or something, so he was pushed back. So this is only his second start. So we'll see. Schmidt's a better pitcher than Williams. So my opinion basically is, in this particular spot, I liked my line at minus 125 better than the line at 113. So I'm considering Yankees on the road here today. Now, we just had all this big discussion about home teams. So I'm trying to focus on home teams. So I don't want to bet a bunch of away games. If there's an away team, I only want to play one. So there's only 8 games today, and the way this kind of breaks out is that might be the one that I think is maybe the smartest one, because when you look at Cincinnati, Miami, here's what a lot of people, Cincinnati scored 25 runs yesterday, 24 runs, whatever it was, and they had 25 hits yesterday. Now, you go, oh my God, they just lit them up. Well, they put in a center fielder who pitched in the 8th inning, and the catcher pitched in the 9th inning. And I think they scored 9 runs or 10 runs off of those 2 guys. and they got 10 hits off of those two guys. So it's still, I mean, like the Brewers won yesterday 14-1. Well, that's kind of what happened yesterday, where the Reds were really won like 14-2 or whatever it was, and not 24-2. They just saved their bullpen pieces a little bit. So today they go on the road and they're playing in Miami. I don't think people really realize what Miami has done. I don't like Miami. I think Miami is a AAA type team. They don't have star power. They don't have home run hitters. They don't have a lot of things that they can do damage-wise. However, when you pull it up and you actually look at what they do offensively, the Marlins, they're scoring almost 5 runs a game, and they just came out of playing in Philadelphia. They get a lot of guys on base. They do a lot of things to get walks, that kind of. They don't strike out as much as you might think they do. I think they're an undervalued team right now. They're 500-ish, 502 in the record, and Cincinnati's kind of on a run. They're starting to get going a little bit. But today they faced Max Meyer. Now, Max Meyer for the Marlins, he's made 4 starts. His last start was a game score of 47. It's the worst one. So that's good. He had an offset game. So it kind of helps you with the idea that his game score for the season's a 57. 57, it's almost 60. 60 is what aces do. So he's pitched really well. But what's kind of interesting, his Sierra number is 2.97. So that's a predictive ERA type number. It's lower than 3. He's really good. Lodolo is a 4. So you have a better pitcher in Miami than you do with the Reds coming in. Now, the caveat to that is that Miami was maybe 40 games under 500 against left-handed pitchers last year. That's really terrible. And it's an automatic play against them. But this year, they're not as bad as that. This year, I think they're, if I pull it up, against left-handed pitchers, Miami has faced them. Miami's faced 7 of them already, and they're 4-3. So that's pretty good. Got a winning record against left-handed pitching. And the other part of that's pretty good for them is that their weighted runs created plus is in the positive against left-handed pitchers. So positive means they're 3% better than an average team against left-handed pitching. I think there's probably value here on the Miami side. I'm not going to bet it just because I don't like Miami, and Cincinnati's a little bit hot. But this is, again, one of those spots that you can find yourself in trouble by, just jumping on, hey, Lodolo against the Miami Marlins. He's left-handed, and, they had so much troubles last year. Every year is a little different. So I didn't play that game. My number in that game was I have Reds minus 130 on the road, and they're only minus 114. So the market kind of agrees with the thought processes that I have. My number doesn't agree with my thought processes. So if I were to go and bet Cincinnati, I would be like, well, that's value because my line says they're 132 and I'm only paying 114. Now, that's where, I get this internal fight with myself that says, man, here's another road team. Well, do I like Cincinnati or New York better? Well, I like New York better than Cincinnati just because I think New York can score. And, the reality is, if you go back and look at the history of the Yankees and the Guardians, Yankees always beat the Guardians. So then the next game comes down. It's that San Diego-Detroit game. I don't get it. So because I don't get it, doesn't mean I won't bet it. My number says San Diego's the favorite, and they're not. They're last time I saw Detroit was minus 130, 135, something like that. I don't like it. I get that San Diego has Randy Vasquez on the mound, but the Tigers are throwing Montero. That's no better. So you've got a San Diego offense that's pretty good, and Tatis, who's MVP kind of Tatis. I wish, I shouldn't say wish, that's the wrong word. So to really look at this, I have San Diego having 4 offensive players over 4 WAR or 1 WAR currently during the week of the last 7 days, with 4 guys -1. So they're kind of even there, and totaling it out, it's because they got 2 guys that are really driving the bus. They're still positive WAR for the team. Well, the Tigers have 10 guys in the 1+ or 1- WAR category. They only have 3 guys that are driving the bus, and they're not real high numbers. And they got a lot of guys 7 that are pulling away. So they're a negative team on offense. They rank 23rd on offensive WAR, 28th on isolated power. So do you guys know what isolated power is, what it means? Isolated power is where you're going to take, here's the simple calculation, and it's really simple. You take the slugging percentage, subtract the batting average. That's it. Isolated power. So what does that do? That tells you doubles, triples, home runs, what the power looks like for a team. And when you're ranked 28th, that's not real good out of 30 teams. So you're going to have to string hits together. You're going to have to get multiple hits together. It's not that they can't, but the bullpen for the Padres is pretty good. So I still don't get this line. It makes no sense to me. But again, that's an away team. It's the travel situation off Sunday night. There's a lot of things going on there. Cause for pause. Now, this is a game I'm really thinking about too. Philadelphia, New York Mets. There wasn't too long ago that I really liked Aaron Nola, probably 2-3 years ago, probably 3 years ago now. Right now, I'm almost convinced that Aaron Nola's got good stuff, but he gets hit a lot. And, his stuff isn't overpowering stuff. Like, he doesn't have a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. He doesn't have a great big slider. He's got a curveball. That's what he gets people out with. But it's not been doing what he needs to do. He's made 4 starts. You know how many times the Phillies have won in the 4 starts he's made? 0. There's 0-4 in the 4 starts that he's made. The Phillies had a good weekend against the Marlins, but that's against the Marlins. Now they play the Mets, and that's a different scenario, and it's in New York. So this is a pretty big matchup, right, between the Mets and the Phillies. My numbers right now are showing that I have the Mets as the best team in the American League East. I have them winning 92.5 games, and I know you can't win half game, but so it'll figure itself out down the road. The Phillies win 88 games. So, they're 4.5 games better. That's a significant amount when you're really in that small of a bracket. And then when you look at the line in the game, I have Mets -110. And that's because Aaron Nola still gets graded really, really high. I think he's probably overvalued, so that number shouldn't be that high. And the number that I was looking at was -115 for the Mets. I think that number is pretty good. I think that's a real good number. I don't think that's out of line in my estimation. And the other thing when I'm looking at this is offensively, the Mets rank 8th in offense, and the Phillies are 3rd. But you got to remember that the Phillies just came off of playing the Marlins, so it's a little different. They can, and I only grade things in 7 days. So I like the idea there that the Mets are in pretty good spot. And then when I looked at the situation here, Tyler McGill is pitching for the Mets. He's an emerging superstar pitcher. I know that sounds really weird. But if I break him down and share with you that he has made 4 starts. His first 2 starts, 63-64 game score, means that's ace-like. That's really good. But his last 2 starts, both of them been below 50. Which is 51 being average. So that's kind of normal. You get high scores and low scores to give you an average, right? Well, they don't just stay at average. So I'm going to expect him to throw at least 51, 52, 53, or above against the Phillies today. And I'm not convinced Aaron Nola isn't just bad. Game score 39, game score 39, game score 51, game score 31. His best start so far in 4 starts is a 51. That doesn't mean he won't go out there and throw a 90 tonight, but that's not his normal kind of routine, right? He's in the spot where if I looked at his numbers, his Sierra number is 357. His xERA is 4. So theoretically, he's going to give up 4 runs. McGill's at 3.5. So you got a little bit better version there. And you got a better bullpen going on with the Mets right now. And offensively, the Mets are good too. So, yes, the Phillies are hitting a little bit better than they were, but I want to discredit that to a degree because they were at home against the Marlins. Now they're on the road against the Mets. So I think this is probably a pretty good spot. Now, I talk about WPA, and that's win percent added, right? So if a pitcher goes out and gets graded on his pitches and the results of those pitches, and you stack them up, okay, he did one good one, so it gets in the one good one column. He did one bad one, it gets in the one bad one column. Every pitch, right? Boom, 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 boom. And then all of a sudden at the end, you go, oh, he's got 100 good pitches. He's got 50 bad ones. So he's really doing pitching really well, right? So he's adding winning percentage to because he's pitching well. So the worst pitcher of the day today in WPA in terms of winning percentage added is Aaron Nola. He's minus 0.61, which means he's making mistakes and in key leverage spots too. These outcomes don't happen when guys are on base and there's a guy on second or third and he's got to get him out. He doesn't. And then you look at a guy like McGill, and he's kind of net zero. He's right in that middle zone. But the other thing I liked about him was his hard hit rate's only 25%, 26%, 25.9. Phillies are going to have to work to get hard contact off of him. And home run rate is 0. No home runs allowed for McGill. 1.66, which is just under what BUEHLER does for Nola. So I like the Mets. So I'm thinking right now I was looking at, okay, Mets are looking pretty good. Maybe Yankees on the road are looking pretty good. I liked the Braves today with Schwellenbach and pitching really, really good to shut down St. Louis, and then the Braves are hitting, but you got to play them. Jeff likes them first 5, minus the half a run, minus the 130. I don't mind playing run lines. So especially, when you look at it, I even don't mind, I used to teach anyway, not playing run lines for home teams because you don't get to bat in the 9th inning. I tend to think this: if you're ahead and you're going against a bullpen, you're going to score another run or two. I don't worry about that run line not batting in the 9th inning. Sure, it's going to burn you every once in a while. It's like 20% of the time it will. One out of every 5 times you do it, it's going to burn you. And then the other game that I thought was an interesting game, well, there's 2 of them, but Gausman and Brown, 2 really good pitchers going at it today. Brown hasn't had a bad start yet, so I'm kind of worried about that. He threw a game score 53 in his first game, and then 67, 74, 67. It's been awesome. But if you watch him pitch, I like this MLB TV thing. I just watch every game, flip around, and do all this stuff. And when you watch Brown pitch, it's not like he goes out and strikes everybody out. His strikeout rate is average, 8.25. You don't walk him. You don't put him on base. And he doesn't allow home runs. But he's hit. Balls are in play. So I don't feel real comfortable with that. And especially with Toronto. And the Houston offense isn't that good. So, and Gausman can shut you down. So I'm kind of thinking more underish in this game than I am anything else. And then the last game, I haven't figured it out. I think Milwaukee value-wise is pretty good, but they're on the road against San Francisco. And then I started looking at it and going, well, who's this damn Priester kid? Well, Priester's been really good in terms that His first time out was just below average, game score 47. Last time out, I couldn't hit him. Game score 64, like what aces do. So his average is for the season's a 55. It's only 2 starts. So I'm expecting at least an average start from him today against the Giants, who started off super hot. I don't want to say they're cold. I just want to say they've lowered the super hot. And Robbie Ray, I can never predict Robbie Ray. Robbie Ray off a game score 30 the last time out. So he's got a 45, 49, 54, 30. Not very good. And the biggest thing that Robbie Ray's doing, he walks everybody. 6.98 walks per 9 innings. That's 7 guys he's putting on base. You know, we just talked about, you know, how teams score. They put guys on base and then they hit home runs. So, you know, and he's got a 1.86 home runs per 9 inning, which is the worst on the day. And the Brewers can hit home runs. So, you know, it's kind of one of those weird spots. So my thoughts on the day is I think the Yankees might be pretty decent today. Kind of like the idea of Atlanta, like Jeff likes them in the first 5 innings today. I like them on the run line. Same concept, same idea. And I like the Mets. So anyway, those are my thoughts. If anybody has questions, certainly put them in. I see Richard put in great baseball guest. Jeff, thanks. Great show today. Hey, look, you know, baseball's my thing. I love it.
Awesome as always, Scottie. As we do so well, we're at that hour mark almost. We'll be back obviously Friday afternoon with a full slate there. Tell everyone, I know your website. We know all your work, you know, obviously at Twitter. Tell them what you're up to, and if anyone needs to get a hold of you, where they can find you. Well,
the best way to do it is just to go through my Twitter because I basically shut down my website. I mean, I was doing that and was putting a lot of stuff out there and trying to help and do different things, and it just becomes more nuisance than it really was benefit. Probably, I don't know. You know, if you had 1,000 people that go to your website and you look at stuff, okay, great. If you got you know 20 every day, I don't know if that's good or bad. You know, it doesn't seem to me like it was the greatest thing in the world, and you know, it's a lot of work. I do the work anyway, but it's a lot of work then to transfer it over and make it all, you know, it's just a pain in the ass. So the reality became is, okay, let's just shut that down. I'm going to still gamble. I'm still going to bet. I really missed doing the show, so I'm glad you invited me to come back on the shows and do the stuff because I love baseball and talking and stuff. So it's all good. And just find me on Twitter. When I do the shows, it's great to ask questions. You know, I kind of went over all the games just because there's 8 of them. I won't do that every day. You know, every time I'm on, we'll just go over certain ones. If you have questions or specific things, ask because I've got all the work sitting in front of me, and it's the best time to ask me is when it's all right here. I can get it and go. And you know, I'm learning more about this AI stuff. I just had it. So now, Jeff, I get this report every morning that where's it at? It comes up and it says, I call it my 10 runs report. So the way it started was, hey, show me a report that I want to know all the teams that scored 10 runs from the night before, right? That's kind of how it started. And then I go, oh, well, shit, I need more than that. So I want to know now all the teams that have the ability to have a sweep, right? So it'll do that. They're not obviously going to do that today because, you know, there's nobody in that position today, and the most of them are just traveling. Now I added today, I want to know the teams that hit 4 home runs the night before because I kind of like that. So now it's got that in there. And then I said, well, shit, you know what's even better? Because I looked this up anyhow. Why don't you just give me the winning streak they're on and what they've done in the last 10 games? Right there, boom. Just hit a button and it's all right there for me. It's like, this is the greatest shit in the world. We're trying to figure this stuff out.
Want to thank Richard Poplis, everyone else showing up here live from Tampa and Boston. Tomorrow at 10:20, we will have Andrew McGinnis talking some NHL playoffs, the NCAA insiders talking, we're 2+ months into college baseball there. And then I think around 3 or 4 o'clock, we're going to have a good friend, Ron Mamerlevsky, back to talk the NFL draft. So for myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Invest, the one and only Mr. Scottie Webb at Webby20 MLB. Wish everyone a blessed day. Enjoy yourselves. Enjoy Marathon Monday. Go Red Sox go, and we will see you soon.